everyone, it's Steve again. I'm coming to you from my backyard once again, and this time I'm showing you my American larch trees, which I've had from little tiny whips that came bare rooted from a company on the internet, and I think there's some content here that you all can benefit from. These larch trees are destined for a forest, and I'd like to start that forest this spring if I can find the right pot. I'm just looking for a mica pot, but one not too big. I have some Dawn redwoods that I'm reserving for the larger mica pot that I have. And the one that I was going to use these for, I put my jacaranda trees in, so I'm down a pot. Anyway, these trees are growing up quite nicely. I had cut them back once, here, 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 all the places where you can see a kick in the growth pattern. And all this growth has remained unchecked for 2 years. So they've been in these pots for 3 years. The first year I cut them back, and then I haven't touched them in 2 years. And as you can see, well, you may not be able to see in this view, but they almost come to the top of my greenhouse here. So I'm going to look at these pots individually, more close up. Candace from Bonsai Science has taught me what to look for in trees like this. Nigel Saunders, I've been watching your videos for many, many years now, and you've taught me what to look for in trees like this. I'm just hoping that I can employ your techniques successfully, and I'm going to get started right away. All right, the first operation I want to take on these trees is to determine the overall height for my next chop. I've numbered the trees 1, 2, 3, and 4 to represent the largest, the next smallest, the next smallest, and the smallest of the large trees that are in these pots. So this one, this one, this one, and this one are the largest ones. I'm not too worried about the smaller ones yet. In the forest planting, I plan to arrange them in a forced perspective, as Nigel does in his videos or on his forest plantings. I think that is the most effective. There's a lot to be said for just the nicest tree being in the front, but there's also more to be said for the artistic placement of the trees in the planting. So let's start with the largest of them, and I'm keeping these together so that I can remember which one I've done. If I did them individually, I might have two the same size. So with this being my tallest tree, I really don't want it any taller than I really don't want it any taller than this. So allowing for a new leader to grow, I have buds on the outsides. I'm not worried about the front of the tree yet because I have no idea. I'm going to take these all out and look at them individually. But I think for the tallest one, I'm going to cut it to here and hope I get another leader growing out the side there. So here I go, cutting it on a 45-degree angle. This will become a cutting that I hope will root. I've got a little tray of sand over there that I'll show you later. That I'm going to put these in the greenhouse. Keep them moist. Keep the temperature just above freezing. And maybe I'll have cuttings. Rooted cuttings. Okay, the next one is this tree here. I'd like it to be slightly smaller. So let's say I've got two buds here. It's a little bit smaller. Let's cut it right there. This tree, smaller yet. I think right here is where I want to go. If I can just step around the other side. For this tree to be even smaller than that, I'm going to cut it back to here. All right. Pretty drastic. Now, I don't know where the root base on these trees will end up being. I haven't dug down in these pots since they were planted, so we may have a little bit more trunk or a little bit um, uglier trunk once I dig down and take these out of the pot and start investigating them for the actual root base. So, but what I want to do, and this is tree number 1, is just get rid of these lower branches. I know I'm not going to need them in the composition, so this is a forest. I want to be able to see into the forest. I got to determine which my lowest branch wants to be. It's clear it's nothing below that point. I think this branch right here will be my lowest branch. It has bifurcated. I'm going to look for a place to trim these down, but that will be my lowest branch. I'm going to rub off all of the buds that are below that on this trunk so that no more low branches grow, at least not this growing season. It feels like it's right. And so I have this branch right here as my lowest. I had cut that back once before. I'm going to clean up that stub. I've got a bifurcation here, and I've got an outward facing bud there and a whole bunch more buds down there, and an outward facing bud here. I'll keep this lower one for now, see what happens. I'm going to take the one off that's growing up. So that's got my lowest branch. Then I've got this branch. I haven't picked the front, so I'm not that worried about it right now. But this branch interferes with this branch. I have an outward facing bud here, kind of outward downward, which is kind of good. And an outward facing bud here. The idea is to get this tight, and I want a new leader to grow from here. So I'm hoping for more branching in this area right here. These other branches are great, but I'm going to try and limit them if possible, or stunt them if possible. Do I like this branch? It's in a good place. I'm going to take the one behind it out, one that's going sideways. Here's a double branch. I don't really like that, but I'm going to keep the one pointing. Which one do I want? That's a good question. Bifurcates so close to the trunk. I'm not sure you can see that. So I want it to bifurcate a little further out. So I'm going to trim this back to here. And I'm going to get rid of the one growing more vertically. All right, let's see what happens with that. This branch, gotta make some choices. I think I'm going to take the upper part off and shorten these. I have an outward facing bud there and an outward facing bud there. It's a little odd. Okay, these branches getting kind of big for the composition, but I think I have to bring them in pretty far. I'm going to look at this branch now. Okay, I have an outward facing bud here on either side, which is good. I'm going to get rid of this upward facing piece and the stub from the last pruning. And I'm going to cut this one back to here. Okay, going up the tree. Do I want both of these? It's really going to depend. This one's got a lot going on. I think I'm going to cut this one back. See if I can demonstrate what I want to do here. This branch comes out with very little taper. There is a branch heading back on this one. That would be good to cut it back too, because it will continue the taper pretty dramatically. Yeah, I'm going to cut it back to this branch. Done. And I got one coming straight up here. I don't like that. And I'm going to take this one way back to here. This one I'm going to take way back to there. Okay, now getting to this other thick branch. It's not at the same level as this one, so I like that. You know, I'm doing this for future ramifications, so I've got two buds on either side of this one. Let's see what happens there. I've got this branch now. Got to determine, in this whirl right here, I've got 1, 2, and the leader. I don't think I want either one of these back here. Just remember, I'm trying to get more branching happening to the new apex. And cut this one back to here. I'll put some cut paste on that. All right, so next operation for this tree are these two branches. They are bar branches. This one mirrors this one. I'm going to take this one off entirely. This one, I'm going to go pretty short on. And let's see what happens to this tree. I'm going to leave the little one for a little while, and I'm going to come back with tree number 2. Okay, tree number 2, I'm going to start the same way by removing the lower branches and rubbing off those lower buds on the trunk. I do kind of want the branching to start for all the trees, all the large trees, kind of in the same place because they'll be in the forefront and kind of represent the entry to the forest. The ones in the back can have lower branching. Let's take out some of the weeds here. Clean this all up later. All right. I think my lower branching can start here. So I kind of like on this tree, it has bar branches all the way up. And that appears to be kind of what this tree wants to do. Bar branching, another set of bar branches, another set of bar branches. And then I've got all of the leaders that didn't grow, and then this leader did grow nicely. Once again, more branching needs to happen here, this being the apex. I don't think there'll be any problem, but which second branch should I leave here? Let me work up and then decide. Okay, these lower branches, they don't have much vigor, but let's see what happens. I'm going to take the lower part off here. This does divide, but it's a little weird. I'll take the upper one off. This one also divides differently. What's great about these trees is that the buds are very visible. I have some common ball cypress that you can't see the buds this clearly. All right, so that's good. Let me rub off some other buds on the trunk. Not too many. Okay. Like I say, I kind of like these. I kind of like these because they're very consistent, and the tree put them out all by themselves, all by itself. So that's what it wants to do. I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to shorten these to some opportune outward facing buds. I think I'm going to leave the first bifurcation and get rid of these, clean this up a little. There's some crotch growth happening here. Try to rub that away. Okay, so that one's bifurcated. This one I'm going to do the same way. Get rid of these ones that are closest to the tree, to the trunk rather. Get rid of this upward facing one. Clean up this stub. Remove this piece. And I'm not opposed to wiring at all. So I may end up wiring some of these branches depending on what happens. I don't have any, well, there's some buds on here. Let's see what happens. These I'll do the same way. And my goal again is to get these a little tighter so they fit into the forest planting better. That one. And I have two outward facing buds. One out, one down. All right, that's that branch. Moving up. Okay, without knowing where the front of this tree is, this is kind of flying blind, but most of the development in these trees is going to be after I place them in the forest planting and they get established. No, I don't want that at all. There's a piece of a stem down here, a bud. I'm going to keep the Y shape at the end of this and get rid of the one going down. I'm going to trim this to here, trim this to here. Okay, now moving up. The broken branch. Broken branch here, facing straight up. I'm going to follow the same rule I created down below and take the branches off that are closest to the trunk. These are thicker, and I don't really love that. I like the thinner branches coming from this width of trunk. Cut this one here. Cut this one here. Now, if I don't get rid of these branches all coming from the same spot, I'm going to get a big ugly knuckle here, and I don't want that. So I'm hoping for more branching here. This branch is completely redundant. It's coming off. I'm going to take this branch off, and I'm going to take this branch off. The one that I'm leaving is this one, and I don't want it to compete with the leader. So I'm going to cut it to here. I've got two outward facing buds there. And that's got this, no it doesn't. I got this branch here. So these come off. This comes off. This comes off. And two outward facing buds there. And two outward facing buds there. I'm also going to straighten this tree out in the other planting. And pray for some more growth up the trunk. Let's find tree number 3 and get going on that one. Okay, here's tree number 3. Start by, has a nice kick at the bottom. I can't wait to expose the roots on these. Let's take this one off here. Cut this flush. Get the weeds out. The maple seeds. That's all I need is to have more trees growing in here. But it happens every year. Something pops up in these pots. got the weeds out. Get these lower branches cut off. This is an excellent time of year to do this preparatory work. All right, so I've got a branch here, which is probably too low, but I'm going to leave it, or at least part of it, and trim it back to here and to here. Here's another branch coming out. Got a prior pruning stub. It's got I think I'm going to get rid of the lower one, but keep this one close here. Just cut it back. And cut this one back to there. It's got an interesting kick to it. Kind of goes down. That's not bad. Here's like another branch coming out at the same location here. What do I want to do with this branch? Let me take the low guy off. It bifurcates way up here. Or here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this one here and cut this one back to here. Hoping more branching happens here. There are some good buds. So let's see. Moving up. Do I want this branch? Yeah, I do. Trim a piece off there. And trim this off. So I'll either keep that or not. Want that tight conical shape. This one, yeah, they grow so vigorously at the apex. Let's move up. Let's not jump around. Okay, this one has a branch coming downward. Oops. Cut that to there. Get these branches that are close to the trunk trimmed away. Cut this to here. I'm going to go closer with that. To here. And to here. The one opposite. Take the branch going down. Cut it away. Pruning stub. Prune that to there. Prune this one to there. This guy. This one. That's an odd branch. But I have nothing else in this plane at all. So this comes down and out. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to cut this one. It goes that way. And I'm going to leave it like this. Just cut the tip off, and cut the tip off. Okay, now this branch. I'm going to cut the close one off. Cut the stub back. Prune this one to here. And this one to here. See what develops. This one. Okay, what do you say I go into fast motion for the rest of this and for tree number 4?